Immediately go into chapter 11 of Daniel with the vision. The angel took him 21 days till he got there. He was tarried. But here it goes. Vani b'shnat achat l'daravish hamadai umdi lemachazek ulama'oz lo. In the first year of Darius, I took my stand to strengthen and fortify him. V'ata emet agid lach. Hineot shlosha melachim umdim lifaras v'aravi ashir osher gadol mikol. I have to tell you the truth. Persia will have three more kings. The fourth will be exceptionally wealthy, and he will obtain incredible power through his wealth, and he will stir everyone up against the kingdom of Greece. V'amad melech gibor, a great warrior king will appear. Mashal mimashal rav asar kirtzono. And will have a warrior king will appear, will have incredible dominion and do as he pleases. Kamomdo tishaver malchuto v'techatz la'arba ruchot hashamayim v'lo la'acharito v'lo chomoshlo asher mashal ki tinatesh malchuto la'acherim milvad ela. But after his appearance, his kingdom will be broken up and scattered to the four winds of heaven, but not for any of his posterity, nor will his dominion like that, because his kingdom will be uprooted and belong to others besides these. Presumably this refers to Alexander the Great, defeating of the Persian kingdom, but won't keep it as one kingdom. It will be broken up. And that's what he continues with. So we're talking about different kingdoms, future kingdoms from the time of the book of Daniel is written. Obviously, academic scholars say that parts of Daniel certainly were written much later, because it talks about here, presumably Alexander the Great, and we'll see other emperors and empires that come years later. Continue pasuk hey, vayechazak melech hanegev min sarav vayechazak alav umashal mimashal rav memshalto. The king of the south will grow powerful. However, one of his officers will overpower him and rule, having an extensive kingdom. Ulakech shanim, and after some years, yitchabru vat melech hanegev tavo melech hatzafon lasot meisharim v'lo tatzar koach hazroa v'lo yamod uzro v'tinatein hiu mevia v'ayolda u'machzika beitim. So the daughter of the king of the south will come to the king of the north to make an agreement, but she will not keep her strength, and nor will his strength endure. So the two of them will suffer together, and those who escort her. There will those who will escort her and help her. V'amad minetzar shirasha kano ve'avo el achayo ve'avo b'maoz melech hatzafon v'asa b'hem ve'chazik, and a shoot will stop from her stock will appear in its place, and will come against the army and end the fortress of the north, and he will fight to overpower them. He will take their gods with their images back with silver and gold to Egypt as ransom, and for some years he will leave the kingdom of the north alone. And later he will invade the realm of the king of the south, but then will go back to his land. His sons will wage war. They will have tremendous armies, and they'll advance and sweep through like a flood and wage war as far as his stronghold. And the king of the south in rage will go to battle with the king of the north, and there'll be tremendous amounts of fighting, but there'll be a victory. But when the many are carried off, what happens? He will go arrogant, and then many people will die due to his arrogance, and he will not prepare. V'shav melech hatzafon, and then the king of the north will rise up again. Ve'mid hamon v'rav min harishon leketz ha'itim shanim yavo bo v'chayil gadol v'rechush rav, and he'll grow a great army after a matter of time, and he'll advance with his army and all sorts of wealth. V'atim ahem rabim yamdu al melech hanegev uvnei paritzei amcha yinasu lahamid chazon v'nichshalu. In those times, many will resist the king of the south, the north king's coming to attack him, and the not the best Jews, the lawless of your people, will assert themselves for this vision to come through, but they will fail. The king of the north will advance and throw up siege and capture a great city, and the forces of the south cannot hold them out. Even the greatest of the warriors from the south will be powerless. His opponents will do as he pleases, for nobody will help against him. He will install himself in the beautiful land, Eretz Tzvi, understood as an allusion to Israel, with destruction within his reach. And he will set his mind upon invading the strongholds of his foes, enemies. But in order to destroy it, he'll have to make agreements, and they'll have to have a marriage, etc., etc. Continuing pasuk Yud verse 18, V'asam panav li'iyim v'lakad rabim v'shpit katzin cherpato lo bilti cherpato Yashivlo will turn to different coastlands and capture many of it. Ve'ashav panav lemuzei artzov nechshav v'nafav lo yimatzei will head back to his stronghold in his own land, but he will stumble, he will fall, and he will vanish. And it's understood that this is a reference, all of this, to the fights between the Seleucids and the Ptolemies, between the Egyptian sort of part of the kingdom of Greece and the northern part of the kingdom of Greece, and the back and forth fights that will happen. Eventually, one northern king, Antiochus, he goes and he invades Egypt, and he dies in an unsuccessful campaign. And this basically more or less is what happens historically in the period from about 325 or so before the Common Era to about 175 before the Common the Common Era. And I'm sorry, verse 20 is sort of the end of that. V'amar al kano ma'avir no geish. Heder malchuto v'yamim achadim yishaber v'lo ba'apayim v'lo mocham. His place will be taken by one who will dispatch an officer to exact tribute for royal glory, but he will be broken in a few days. And then we get to verse 21 is the next stage. V'amar al kano nivzeh v'lo nanu alav hod malchut uva v'shalva v'echzik malchuto b'chalkel lakot. And his taste, his place will be taken by a terrible man, a contemptible man, who was not really even a royal. And he will come in, and people will know what's going on. He'll seize the kingdom through trickery. Uzraot hasheta vishtafu milfanav vishaveru v'gam nagid brit. The forces of the flood will be overwhelmed by him and will be broken, and so too will the other leaders of the covenant. And from this time, an alliance will be made with him. He will practice deceit. He's a cheater and a swindler, and he will rise to power with a small group of people. B'shalva uvemishmane medina yavo v'asa asher lo asu avotav v'avot avotav biza v'shalal rechush lahem yivzor v'al mivtzarim yichashev machshavotav v'ad 8. He will invade the richest of provinces, and people won't even know what's going on. Worse than what was done by his fathers, his grandfathers, his ancestors. He will spoil with booty and wealth. But it's all just a plan to capture them via our kocho, and then his strength will sort of be aroused. He'll muster his strength. Lavo Amelech HaNegev over the king of the south. B'chayil gadol umelech HaNegev yitgarel melchama b'chayil gadol v'atzuman mod v'lo yamod ki ychshavu alav machshavot. And the king of the south will wage war with a very great and powerful army, but he will not be victorious because of the plans, because of this king of the north, who we understand is understood as being Antiochus, will have sort of tricked the people into being on his side. Beruhu v'chelo yishtof naflu chalalim rabim. Those who eat of his food will ruin him. His army will be overwhelmed, and many will fall. Ushnehem hamlachim levavam lemeirav yal shulchan echad kazav yidaber v'lo titzlach ki od kates lemoed. The mind of both kings are going to be bent on evil. They each want to cause destruction. They'll sit at the table together, and they will lie to each other. Right? They think they're going to make an agreement, but each one is out for themselves, not out for any sort of agreement, and so they will lie. V'yashov artzo b'chush gadol levavo al brit kodesh v'asav v'shav l'artzo. And then what's going to happen? He's going to return to the land with great wealth, and with his mind, his lave is the heart, but his mind, his idea is going to be towards the holy covenant of the Jewish people. He will return to his land. The moed yashuv uva b'negev lo tiya karishona v'achron. And at the appointed time, he will again invade the south, but the second time will not be like the first. Uvo votziim kitim v'necha v'shav v'za'am al brit kodesh v'asav v'shav yavein al ozvei brit kodesh. And ships from Kittim will come against him, will be checked, and will turn back, and he will rage against the brit kodesh, against the holy covenant, the Jewish people. And he will be there for those who forsake their brit, who go against the the Brit, Uzra mimenu yamod v'chilu hamikdash v'amaoz v'yisiru tamid v'nu hashikutz mishomeim, and forces will be levied by him, and they will desecrate the Beit HaMikdash, the fortress that is Jerusalem. They will abolish the Karban Tamid, the daily sacrifice, and they will set up idols and other abominations in the temple. Marshe vrit yachanif b'chalakot v'im yodei Elohav yachaziku vasu. He will flatter with smooth words those who acted wickedly towards the covenant, but the people devoted to their God, they will stand firm. This apparently, this is where I understand this is a reference to Antiochus. It's the Hanukkah story. He's destroying the temple. They're Jews who go for his flattery, who join and become Greek as it were, and then the other Jews who stood up to him are persecuted. The knowledgeable amongst the people, amongst the Jews, will make many understand. For a while, they will fall by the sword and flame. They will suffer captivity, and they will and destruction. And their wealth will be taken. In verse 34, Yezeru ezer ma'at v'novu aleim rabim bechal kilakot. In defeat, they will receive little help, and many will join them insincerely. Umina maskilim. However, even though some of the knowledgeable will fall, yichashlu l'srof bahem l'varer v'lavein ad eid kates ki od lemoed. Even though some of them will fall, it will be like a refining and a purging and a terrible whitening until the time of the end. For an interval will still remain until the appointed time. This is not the complete ending, and this seems to be related, like we said, to the Maccabee era. The terrible king is understood as being Antiochus Epiphanes, as he's called, and there is religious persecution and destruction, but that's not going to be the end. And so, like we said, this is prediction for the future. Is it somebody who wrote it much later? And obviously, where you fall out on the religious, academic, side of the equation is how you'll understand when this chapter was written. We have 10 more verses, which talks about sort of a final arrogant king. It's not clear who this refers to. Is it to a future period, messianic period? V'asachar tzono hamelech v'yitromem v'yitgadel al kol el v'al el elim yidaber niflot v'tzliach ad kala za'am ki nechretzan asata. The king will do as he pleases. He will exalt himself and magnify himself above all the gods, speak awful thing about God, and he will prosper until his wrath is spent, and what has been decreed has been accomplished. He will have no regard for the God of his ancestors, nor for the one dear to women. He will have no regard for any God. It will all be about himself. Narcissist. He's the person in charge. Ma'uzim al kano yichabed Eloah asher lo yida'u avotav yichabed b'zahav v'chesed ve'even yikarav v'chamodod. He will honor the God of the fortress on his stand. He will honor with gold and silver, precious stones, a God that his ancestors never do. V'asal l'mivzrei ma'uzim im Eloah nechar asher yakir yarbeh kavod v'amishilim barabim v'adma yichalek b'machir. Will deal with fortified strangleholds with the help of alien gods, and he'll heap honor on those who acknowledge him and make them and he'll be the master over them, and he'll distribute land for a price. So, right, a person's all about himself. Give me wealth, give me compliments, and this way, I will do what you ask. Imo melech hanega v'yishtaer alav melech hatzafon berechav ufrashim v'oniyot rabot uva ba'artzot v'shataf v'avar. At this time, the king of the south will lock horns with him. So finally, this king of the south comes back, but the king of the north will attack him with chariots and riders and many ships who will invade lands, sweeping through them like a flood. Uva ba'aretz hatzfin will come to the beautiful land, reference to Israel. V'raboti kashelu, and many will fall. Ve'elayim latum yado Edom Moab v'reshit b'nei Ammon, but these will escape his clutches. Edom, Moab, and the leaders of the Ammonites. V'shlach yado b'artzot ve'eretz Mitzrayim lo tieh lefleitai, will lay his hands on lands. Not even the great the civilization of Egypt will escape. Umashal b'michmenei hazahav v'akesav v'chol chamudot Mitzrayim v'luvim v'chushim b'mitzadav. Will gain control over the treasures of gold and silver of all of the precious things of Egypt and their neighbors, the Kushim, oftentimes known as the Ethiopians, and the Lubim, a reference to the Libyans, to Libya. They will all sort of bend the knee to him. He will take over all them. Shmoti Vahaluhu mimizrach mitzafon v'yatza b'chema gdola lashmid lacharim rabim. But reports from the east and the north will alarm him, and will march forth to destroy and annihilate those others from the east, because he has trouble in the other part of his kingdom. V'yatam ohale up dino ben yamim lahar tzvi kodesh uvad kitzo ve'eno zer lo. Will pitch his royal tent between the sea and the beautiful holy mountain, and he will meet his doom with no one to help him. Finally, he will get to a point where he thinks that everything is okay, and he pitches his tent, but in the end, he has no longer any support from the people. Who does this refer to? This last part, we do not know. Is it referring to Antioch? Some say is referring to a future messianic, not messianic, but pre-messianic king, the end of days. We're not sure. It's a challenging chapter, but it seems to be written a few hundred years later, after the Daniel of the earlier chapters, the Daniel who was at the time of the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash in the Babylonian kingdom and later in Persia, because this seems to reflect fairly well many of the events that would happen 200, 300, even 400 years on a large scale, not on a micro level, but on a macro level, of many things that happen later on to the Jewish people, and with the problems for the different Greek rulers.